The travel ban is in place for areas in the southern portion of the city of Buffalo, which includes South Buffalo, Kaisertown, Lovejoy, and the Old First Ward. As of noon, we have approximately 200 pieces of snow fighting equipment on city streets. A lot of that equipment is concentrated in the southern portion of the city. The focus is on the areas that are included in the travel ban. A travel advisory remains in place for the rest of the city. This means no unnecessary travel. If you don't need to go outside, please don't go outside. In addition, Buffalo City Hall, as you know, is closed today. Only essential personnel reported. For people who do not have shelter, we currently have several emergency warming shelters that are open and available. The following shelters are open today: Tosh Collins Community Center, Peter McNica Community Center, and the JFK Recreational Center. More locations may open depending on conditions that we see later in the day. I want to thank Department of Public Works crews who continue to work nonstop to clear and salt the roads in the city of Buffalo. Snow accumulation is expected to be between 1 to 3 feet of snow in certain parts of the city. I also want to thank the public for their cooperation. Again, no unnecessary travel in the city of Buffalo. This will keep people and their families safe, but it also keeps streets clear of traffic so we can do the work that we need to do to open up roads and to get back to normal as quickly as possible. Now I'm going to turn things over to Department of Public Works Commissioner Nate Martin.
Thank
Commissioner.
You, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. As the mayor said, the storm hit the city, has moved up through it, but dumping a lot of snow in its path. And certainly the largest amount of snow is in the South Buffalo, Kaisertown, Old First Ward area. You guys saw reports this morning of Lackawanna maybe getting 30 inches overnight. So not too far off of that. I don't have an exact snow total in the southern part of the city. So we had our private contractors engaged this morning, and we have them dedicated to those areas that were hardest hit. Now, the band has moved up. It's deposited snow all across the city. It will be moving back down, as the mayor said, 3 to 9, 10 o'clock in that range, dumping more snow. We have our next set of contractors coming in play who will be aligned with that band as that moves back down. We'll have contractors then scatter over the rest of the city to help in that removal and getting to those residential streets. So first emphasis on those hardest hit. Of course, they were hardest hit earlier in the week as well. So they've got the most difficult conditions. We're dealing with that. But then we will have support around the rest of the city as well. So that'll be our response for the rest of the day today.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Martin. So essentially, 5 days of storm in the city of Buffalo, in Erie County. We had about a 1-day respite from storm conditions, but certainly very much back into it today, particularly in the southern portion of the city. With that, we'll open up to questions that the members of the media have. Jeff?
Mayor, I was just down there in South Buffalo. It's tough down there right now. They're dealing with it, like you mentioned, for several days. Why did the city wait until this morning to put a travel ban in place there in South Buffalo?
Well, we had put a travel advisory in place, and initially the guidance from meteorologists was 2 inches of snow per hour. We thought that would give us the ability to clean the South Buffalo area of the city and have people go about their day. Overnight, the storm intensified to about 4 inches of snow per hour, and we determined at that time that we needed to put a driving ban in place.
How was that determined? Like, what's the threshold for putting a travel ban in place?
It really comes down to the amount of snowfall. If it's inches of snow, we never put a travel ban in place in situations like that. If it's going to be feet of snow, and if the number of inches of snow, if the total snowfall per hour ramps up to 3 to 4 to 5 inches. In some cases, it was 5 inches an hour. Then we looked to put a travel ban in place. And because this essentially for the southern portion of the city of Buffalo has been a 5-day event, a lot of snow. It's not just a plowing effort, it's a lifting and hauling effort as well. A lot of pieces of equipment concentrated in the southern portion of the city. And for the safety of motorists as well, we want to make sure that people aren't driving as we have heavy equipment trying to take snow out of the community.
Mayor, without any official update on today's Sabres game, are you concerned that people are going to be making their way to KeyBank Arena and maybe hurt some of the snow plows that will be in the way, their advances to clear the snow?
I'm going to turn that over to Commissioner Martin in a moment. Right now, the arena is in the travel ban area. We're not sure when we will be able to lift the travel ban. Potentially, we will not be able to lift it by game time. We have been in communication with the Sabres organization, as we have been in communication with Erie County and the state of New York. So we're going to work together to make that call and to make that call so people are able to know not to come to downtown to the arena in enough time so we don't have people on the road. Commissioner?
Yeah, and Mayor, I'll just expand on that. So I've been in contact a number of times today with the Sabres leadership about the conditions on the ground, what we've seen already go by, what we expect to see, and how we're going to be able to respond to that. So at this point in time, as the mayor said, the driving ban is in place. It will remain in place. We're going to evaluate and keep evaluating throughout the day and get that assessment and keep in contact with the Sabres. So, ultimately their decision, NHL decision, but, we'll provide our input to that. And as the mayor said, I think importantly, the driving ban is in place from Broadway South, which does include the arena at this point in time.
There's also performance at Shay's tonight. Have you been in touch with them as well?
Yeah, go ahead, Mayor.
We have been in touch with Shay's. Obviously, people come from all across Erie County and Western New York to attend performances at Shay's. Some of those that would be coming to Shay's are in areas of the driving ban. The driving ban is at different parts in the southern portion of Erie County. So again, with the performance at Shay's, there will be a call made sometime today whether that should go on or be postponed.
Do you anticipate extending the driving ban to other parts of the city right now?
Right now, it doesn't look like we will have to do that from what we're seeing with the snow band and what we're hearing from meteorologists that we have been working with. But I'll have Commissioner Martin expand on that as well.
Yeah, certainly. So right now, we don't see that, but what's going to happen with that ban? Is that going to ban move as predicted, as expected? If it does, I think we might be okay, but we're going to evaluate it. If it doesn't, if it comes down and it stalls, and now it's creating a different type of situation, we'll evaluate it like we did in the overnight hours.
If the driving ban does stay in place for around the arena, though, what would your suggestion to the NFL, or excuse me, the NHL be then in terms of tonight's game and that going on?
Link to the mayor first. Do you want to respond first?
Yeah, our recommendation is if the travel ban is still in place, we would recommend to the NHL and the Sabres that the game be moved until tomorrow. It's my understanding that the Blackhawks are in town, and certainly that is a concern, but our major priority is the health and safety of the residents of our community and the people that would be coming downtown for the game. So if the travel ban is still in place, that means that the band has shifted back into that portion of the city. That portion of the city will be hard hit by snow, and we'll have a lot of equipment out trying to clear that area, and we want to make sure that people are safe. So my recommendation to the NHL would be to move the game until tomorrow. Commissioner?
Yeah, it would be the same thing. It's really about the driving ban. We understand sporting events are important to our town, as we all love our teams, hometown teams. But the resident safety is foremost important to all of us, and including those who work for the organizations that we have to make these tough decisions for. So if that is the case, we would keep it in place if conditions warrant it.
Mr. Luby, with this being the first major storm that you're overseeing, how do you think the city's response is going? What do you think is being the most effective? And are there areas you think the city should learn from or change?
In the Emergency Operations Center, which is the center for where you do operations and strategic considerations, you do informational sharing, resource allocation, and of course, we do informational sharing amongst all our partners. The city is doing very well. The interagency coordination and communication, the informational sharing is good. All I could say is the personnel that are assigned to the Emergency Operations Center and the information that we're receiving from our partners has been very helpful, and the exchange has been on the same. So they're doing a very good job.
What do you think you guys learned from last year's storm and implemented this year? You have parking garages open, you have a lot of heavy equipment on the streets. We've heard from residents in South Buffalo that they do think the communication is better.
We've learned a lot from that storm. So pre-planning, pre-staging of equipment, pre-preparation, all critically important, not just for the city, county, and state, but also the public. Public is better prepared than they were in 2002 with those storms. Ramping up communication. Every government agency, city, county, state, we've really ramped up communications. And we were very well coordinated before, but the level of coordination between the city, the county, and the state is probably at a greater level than it has ever been. I've had many direct conversations with Governor Hochul, direct conversations with County Executive Polenkars. We have been together in person, and our staffs are literally communicating around the clock. So all of those lessons learned are very important. We have emergency backup generators now for all of the city warming shelters. We have new equipment. So that has been helpful as we've dealt with this first major storm of the winter season in Buffalo and Erie County.
Commissioner Gramalia, what are you guys seeing in South Buffalo, and do you have any message to anyone thinking about driving out there?
Right now the call volume is low, which is good. Traffic has been light, which I'll say is good, but it needs to be lighter. We have officers out. We are enforcing the travel ban. We will be writing summonses as we have when the travel ban was in place over the weekend. You're not seeing snow right now. The ban has shifted. That does not mean you can go out and drive. What that means is give DPW operators the opportunity to go out and clear snow. If you go out and you get in the way, you are hampering those activities. When the snow ban comes back, it's going to make it that much worse. So hunker down, stay where you're at, stay in the house. Don't go out and drive. It's not necessary. If you drive, then you risk being pulled over and you risk being issued a summons for violating the travel ban.
Can you clarify who can drive during the travel ban?
So, you look at essential workers, and I know that question comes up a lot, but you're looking at emergency personnel. You're looking at, doctors, first responders, things of that nature. You've got people that are getting to work, like, you got plow drivers. There's plow drivers that are private that have contracts with the city. They are, of course, able to drive in and get to where they need to go. You need to have some common sense as well. I mean, you really have to consider yourself. Are you essential, and why do you consider yourself essential? You're putting yourself in danger, but when you put yourself in danger, you are also putting us in danger. And by us, the people that we represent out there that are out there right now, plowing, going to calls, fire department, ambulance, police officers, everybody, you're putting people in danger. So you really have to kind of wonder, are you really essential or not? We've kind of laid out who that would fit into that category. And again, it is the store open? Is your store within a travel ban area? That it gets a little tricky. And again, that's where some common sense has to come in. Don't put your life at risk to try to get out to where you're going. I know there's, people want very definitive lines, and we try to define those the best that we can. Sometimes it kind of falls in the middle, but you really have to decide, am I going to be in the way and am I going to be in danger by going out?
The county executive announced 3 storm-related deaths, more towards the last storm, with shoveling and snow blowing. Do you have a message for people on how they can stay safe but help maintain their driveways?
Yeah, I mean, that's a medical question. I'll answer it to the best that I can, but you know, you really have to be aware of what your health is and your need to go out and shovel, clean up your driveway. Little at a time, take breaks. Don't be in such a hurry. If, you know, you've got an elderly neighbor or, you know, someone that's older that could use some help, that's where the City of Good Neighbors pitches in and helps each other out. So don't take on too much. There's heavy snowfall in some of these areas, and that really takes a toll. If you're not used to exercise, this is going to be far too tasking for yourself if you're not in really good shape.
We're taking a lot of.
If I could, just very, very quickly, I want to have the fire commissioner respond to that because our firefighters respond to a number of those health emergency calls.
Yes, thank
Commissioner?
you. Thank you, Mayor. I think Commissioner Grimaldi covered that really well. Just know your limitations. Now, if you don't normally, you know, if you're not normally out there shoveling or snow blowing, obviously don't do it. And as the commissioner said, the City of Good Neighbors, have your neighbors help you out, relatives, things of that nature. So we have a majority of our companies are out there right now, clearing hydrants, doing things of that nature. And, you know, and they're more than willing to help you out, you know, clear out your driveway, clear out on a limited basis or your sidewalk, things of that nature if they're in the neighborhood and they get flagged out and that sort of thing. So, but mostly just know your limitations.
Jeff?
Yeah, we're taking, you know, viewer comments during our live coverage today. So one of our viewers pointed out that they've heard there were people stuck or are stuck on the Skyway. Have you heard anything along those lines? Is that accurate? Or?
I have no reports at this time. If someone was stuck earlier, I have no reports at this time that anybody stuck up there. We would have gotten that in our EOC if that was the case.
All right, Mary, just want to wrap it up.
Yeah, and so the Skyway is closed. Hopefully no one is up there. As Commissioner Grimaldi said, we have heard no reports to that effect. Just want to remind people, you have a window right now in many parts of the city where there is not a driving ban. If you have to go out for any legitimate reason, you have until 3 o'clock to be able to do that before the ban shifts back into the city of Buffalo. So that is our recommendation, the City of Buffalo residents. Do anything that you need to do if you are not in the driving ban area, and try to be back home by 3 o'clock for your safety and the safety of everyone that is responding to the storm.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Three here. We're glad to have you with us for this special edition of second cup.
It's like fourth cup at this point.
We've been on for hours this morning. We're this special edition of 7 News at Noon because we are focusing on the weather this morning, and we're doing it in a certain style. If you're not familiar with this, I want to let you know, go to our WKBW Facebook page after this commercial break. We're going to be live there as well. You're going to be able to ask questions to us, and we're going to be able to try to find you answers.
Want to run down quickly where these travel bans still are in effect. Hamburg, Orchard Park, West Seneca, Lancaster, Depew, Blaisdell, Cheektowaga, Lackawanna, and the city of Buffalo south of Broadway. There is a commercial vehicle ban on the 90 from Rochester to the Pennsylvania line and the 190 to exit 21.
Yeah,
Now,
we have City of Buffalo Hall closed, Erie County offices closed, and you just heard the mayor talking about how there's a travel ban south of the city, in the southern part of the city, south of Broadway. North of the city, he says, listen, now's your window. If you need to get something essential, run out and get it now till about 3 o'clock.
So not only does that commercial vehicle ban affect the 90 and the 190, it's also affecting the 219, the 400, the 290, the 990, the 33, and Route 5. From Ridge Road to downtown Buffalo, all commercial vehicles are banned from those stretches of roads because of the storm and should not be traveling on those roads. There's also an unnecessary travel advisory, where if you have the travel advisory period throughout all of Erie County, if you have unnecessary travel, you're asked not to make it.
Okay, so we're going to take a quick commercial break for those of you on air. Again, go to our WKBW Facebook page right now. We're going to be going live after the break, and we're going to answer some of your questions and maybe shed some light on some things that you need information on. So we'll be right back. And if you're streaming with us, we're going to stay with you. Hi, everybody who's with us.
Hi,
We need
are
to
we
figure out
switched
this
over?
IFB.
Yeah, are we switched over to street? I feel like we just did it.
There we go. That's what it is.
Okay.
Sorry. A little behind the scenes. Ed and I are
Yes.
double hearing ourselves multiple times in our ear.
So if we're stumbling and just trying to like get words out and thoughts out, this is why. It's because
More
we're
so than
hearing
usual. Yeah. So we're so glad to have you if you're streaming with us right now. Brittany had a quick question here. Did they lift any travel bans from now until 3 p.m.? No, Brittany, what the mayor was just referring to was if you're in the area that is not in the travel ban in the city of Buffalo, so the northern part of the city, he was saying, run out to the store right now if you need something, do your quick errands because that ban of snow is going to shift back down.
Okay, Mark, wondering what I thought about what Mark Poloncarz said about the thruway and how it was supposed to be closed. Very interesting comments, and I'm going to bring in Michael Wooten when we come back on TV because he was listening to the county executive, had some very specific questions about the thruway being closed because as we now know, that commercial vehicle ban is in place on the 90 from Rochester to Pennsylvania, the 190 and all those other roads. But when we spoke with the DOT commissioner from New York State earlier this morning, and many of you were watching, she said that this storm was unexpected. And that isn't the case whatsoever. The mayor you heard trying to say that they were only expecting about a foot overnight, but we had been saying for days and days now that we were expecting to measure the storm in feet.
1 to 3 feet.
So we're going to check in with Michael Wooten on the other side of the break on TV. But be sure to ask your questions here. We're also going to check in with Mary Beth Roble, who's going to be joining us at the desk, tracking that 7 weather forecast.
Tracking that snow band. As we mentioned, it now has shifted north and it's sitting over some of the north towns. So we're going to see exactly how much snow you're going to be getting there. We're going to come back on TV in about 30 seconds or so. So then you're going to get that dual screen experience where you can drop any questions here on our Facebook page or on Instagram. And then we'll bring them to you and answer them for you on television.
Jenna, how much time do we have left until we get back on TV? Okay, we got 30 seconds. Quickly, I'm just going to let you know that Wegmans is closing 4 stores today at noon. So they're already closed. Dick Road, Transit Road, McKinley Parkway, and Orchard Park Road in West Seneca. Those are all closed right now. It's unclear when they will reopen. We're going to join back in with our TV viewers on Channel 7, so stand by as we do just that. We got 10 seconds.
Hi there, everybody. It is just about 12:30 on the start of your Wednesday afternoon. Glad to have you with us right now. Go to our WKBW Facebook page and join our live stream there. You can also watch us on TV. But if you have any questions, anything you're interested in knowing, you can write a comment there. We'll try to pull them up for you and get your questions answered. We want to run down a lot of things for you because we're just now starting another half hour of news. So let's let you know where those travel bans are right now. Town and Village of Orchard Park, Town of Hamburg, Town of West Seneca, Town of Lancaster, Cheektowaga, Lackawanna, south in the city of Buffalo, so that would be south of Broadway. We're also seeing a lot of closures, especially for commercial trucks on roadways.
Okay, so those tractor trailers that you're used to seeing on the thruway banned this afternoon from Rochester to the Pennsylvania line on the 90, the 190 to exit 21, the 219, the 400, the 290, the 990, the 33, and Route 5 from Ridge Road to downtown Buffalo. Earlier this morning, we were speaking with the New York State Department of Transportation and the commissioner, Dominguez, who told us this storm was unexpected, but there is an unprecedented level of coordination, she says, in making sure that the thruway is kept safe for all of the drivers. Though we have seen so many accidents, so many disabled vehicles, so many people getting stuck in the snow.
So we were on air this morning for you for about 5 hours, and that was the number one question that we kept getting from our viewers. Why was there not a ban for all driving on the thruway?
So Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz addressing that with our 7 News senior reporter Michael Wooten moments ago. Michael, I want to bring you into the conversation here. Good afternoon to you. Thanks so much for joining us. What did the county executive have to say about that?
Yeah, it was interesting because when I asked him, I said, basically, we haven't been able to get in touch with the Thruway Authority. You talked to the DOT commissioner, but they are separate entities, but they are supposed to be communicating through this entire storm, right? And the county executive basically said that he had been told earlier that there was going to be a closure from the 390, that's in Rochester. So for the Thruway, all the way from there to I-86, in Pennsylvania was how he listed it. Now, I was kind of wondering, and I went back and listened to it in anticipation of talking with you guys. It obviously is closed to commercial traffic, but I believe he was talking about closing it down to everyone. He did say there were conversations about worries of putting all those vehicles onto the local roads, because think a lot of those exits where people would have to get off, some of those local roads might have 2-3 feet of snow by now.
Right.
So that was something that was being considered. But he seemed to be surprised that they had not decided to shut down the thruway.
Well, it's interesting too, because now they've banned all commercial travel from the thruway, and that's been going on for several hours at this point. But they've also banned it from those other roads, the 219, the 400, the 290, the 990, the 33, Route 5. So now we kind of have to figure out, well, where are they going to go now?
Yeah, and they're essentially supposed to stay put, you would think. That you certainly don't want them on these local roads, and many of them wouldn't be able to handle that if you tried to put them there. I just looked. The 219 is something that Mr. Polenkar's brought up during the news conference there. I can see the live camera just over my shoulder here. There actually is one vehicle on there, but the 219 essentially remains closed right now entirely. Polenkar is saying that there was a bit of a disconnect there because there are parts of it that are down to bare pavement, yet the 219 is closed, whereas the thruway remains open, and maybe it should have been the reverse. So, you know, you have to imagine that they're having these conversations right now as we're going to head into the afternoon. It's expected for the evening drive home that conditions are going to get pretty bad. They are asking, Polenkar's asking businesses to let their employees go home by 4 o'clock this afternoon so that they won't be on the highways during the evening commute, because that's the timing. And Mary Beth will speak to this in a moment. They believe that's the timing when the heavy snow band is going to move back through the metro area.
So,
absolutely. And another point that people are bringing up today too, something that might bring a lot of people to downtown Buffalo, is the Sabres game. Not only did Mark Polenkar talk about that, but we just heard Buffalo Mayor Brian Brown talk about that as well. The Sabres game, as far as we know, is still on, but it does not sound like city and county leaders feel like that's a very good idea, Michael.
I thought it was interesting to hear the mayor just say flat out, my message to the NHL is move the game. It seems like it will become something that's untenable, because the arena is technically in the area that's under this driving ban. So you have to wonder how in the world that game is going to happen. And it seems like Polenkar's and the mayor are both saying they don't anticipate lifting the current driving bans, you know, at least until we get through this evening wave of the snow coming back through. I asked Polenkar specifically about the decision-making process for these driving bans, and I know you guys have heard from so many viewers today, because there are pockets of Western New York, I think where I live, one of them, kind of just north of downtown, where it seems like this morning was worse than this weekend. Yet over the weekend, I was in a driving ban. This morning, I wasn't. And I thought explained it pretty well, which was, you know, we can't have a driving ban every time we have lake effect snow. If you're looking at 1 or 2 inches an hour, or you're looking at like 8 inches over the course of a nighttime, that's not really rising to the level of a driving ban. What's happening south of Buffalo is a different story, because the snowfall totals are just so high, especially with what was already on the ground from, I guess it's the previous storm, or is it just one big storm? I don't know at this point, but it is a difficult decision-making process. He said in talking with local officials in the towns north of the city, they aren't asking the county institute a driving ban. If they were, you would imagine that we'd be having a different conversation. But we were talking with our colleague earlier on Grand Island. I mean, I looked at the cameras, you couldn't see anything up there, yet there was no driving ban.
it makes sense, because we don't want to limit the economy, free trade here, right? You can't shut down every time there's a snowstorm. But certainly in the southern part of Erie County, the South towns, we are seeing the impact. And a lot of the people are saying that this is probably a little bit too little, too late. Michael Wooten for us this afternoon. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Michael.
You bet.
Eileen Buckley.
You know what, really quick, I did want to just address Mike's question too, because it kind of goes hand in hand with the Sabres. So many people also asking about Shay's, because they have a show tonight, Girl in North Country. We have not heard anything official from Shay's yet. We did connect with someone from there. They said, listen, they're going to evaluate and they'll get information out later.
Eileen Buckley is live for us in the elements this afternoon. Eileen, good afternoon to you. Tell us where you are, what you're seeing, what the conditions are like there.
Well, good afternoon, Ed and Katie. I am in the village of Kenmore and the town of Tonawanda. Lake effect snows have been pounding and pounding away the last several hours, and the winds have really picked up. It was very intense last hour, the intensity kind of slowing down a little bit, but picking up when the winds pick up as well. And I did check in with the town of Tonawanda, and they told me that they have all their plows and salters out right now. Again, there is not a travel ban in the village of Kenmore in the town of Tonawanda, but there is a travel advisory for all of Erie County. So that includes this area, this region. And I really want to give you advice to be careful if you're heading out. Really take your time. There's whiteout conditions at times. Again, the intensity picks up as the winds kick in. just blowing the snow that's already fallen. I think we've had probably 2 to 4, maybe more inches so far in the last couple of hours. So please, if you can stay at home, my best advice is if you don't have to head out on this, stay home, stay warm, and be very careful.
Eileen Buckley for us in the North Towns, Kenmore, Tonawanda area. Eileen, I'm sorry, I'm hearing myself in double time, and I apologize. It's hard to talk and listen at the same time. We appreciate you, Eileen.
Okay,
Thank
I'm
you so much
frozen.
for being with us, and we're going to let you go get warm.
All right, and we are going to take a quick break here on television. If you're streaming with us right now, we will stay here. So let us take a quick break on TV. We'll be right back. Okay, hi to all of our streamers. Glad to have you with us.
Sorry for being so stumbly here. We're trying to do two things at once, be both online and on TV. And behind the scenes, it's a little tricky when you're hearing yourself twice.
Producer Jenna, should we switch to a 3-shot right now and bring MB in? Because we could hit her right after the break.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's give some weather. Mary Beth.
Come on in.
Okay.
Come on in, MB.
Happy hump day, everybody.
Okay, so Jenna says she can't take weather graphics.
Why? Are they?
Yeah, they should just be routed in here.
The weather computer is there. Okay, can we? Yeah, let's switch to the weather
I think we gotta do
computer.
that.
There we go.
Okay, so now that we're in the break right now, if you have any questions or any areas that you'd like Mary Beth to take a harder look at or maybe focus on for you, just drop a line, let us know. We'll pull up the comments throughout her weather forecast. She'll be able to read them and tailor that forecast to you.
Okay, Victoria also wondering again about the Sabres game. There's been no update about the Sabres game.
Victoria was saying she got an email from the Sabres. So Victoria, I'm wondering, could you send that to us, news@wkbw.com, and tell us what you got?
Well, because here's the
haven't
deal.
heard any
We
update.
are not getting any information about that. But what we are hearing is both from the county executive and the mayor that they're recommending the NHL move the game till tomorrow. The Blackhawks are in town, but as you can imagine, moving an NHL game to a day later is going to be a problem,
Right.
a hassle of sorts.
Also a problem having the game in a travel ban.
Right.
So Victoria, news@wkbw.com. If you could just send that information, then at least we could take a look at it for you. Hopefully that.
And maybe you can put the email address up on the
Yes.
screen so Victoria can actually see it, or can you drop it in the comments for us?
Mary Beth, I have a feeling you're going to focus on these different areas, but just so you know, Mary wants to know about Cheektowaga. Cheryl wants to know about South Buffalo.
Can I just address Grace's question really quick? Grace wondering, is there still a ban in Lovejoy? Yes, in fact, there is. So anywhere south of Broadway in Buffalo, Kaisertown, Lovejoy, South Buffalo, all of those places are still under the travel ban. Mary Beth, we're going to keep you updated in terms of time because we're dialed into the IFB here.
Yes.
So we've got 10 seconds and we'll join in on TV. So stand by for us.
Okay, cool.
Okay, welcome back. It's 20-1 on the start of a Wednesday afternoon. We're glad you're with us. Grab your phone, join the conversation. We want to make sure that your voice is heard when it comes to how you're dealing with the storm. We also want to make sure that you're getting caught up with that 7 weather forecast. Mary Beth Roble is here. Okay, Mary Beth, give it to us straight. Where is this ban?
You're the one we want to hear from.
Yep. Well, the city is getting a break. South Buffalo, the South Town's getting a break right now. But it's the North Towns into Niagara County that's taking the hit right now over Grand Island. You can see this arrow, and I put this arrow here in the last hour. The band has actually shifted north of that. So now some moderate to heavy snow in places like Niagara Falls, into Wheatfield, into Pendleton as well. But this lake effect snow band over land has a shorter fetch. So I don't think we're seeing those 4-inch an hour amounts, more like 1 to 3 inches per hour, but still enough there. But you can see over Tonawanda, the city of Buffalo is free and clear right now, just some widely scattered, very light showers or even some flurries going on. So we're getting a nice break, but here's a wider picture of that band. It is scheduled to move south this afternoon. I have 2 different weather models to show you. It's very interesting to show how quickly it moves out of the city of Buffalo. But here's a look at the visibility tracker right now. Visibility down to 0 at North Tonawanda. At Kenmore, about a half mile there. Grand Island, pretty close to zero there too. Same with Pendleton into Williamsville. So some lower visibility in those snowfall areas, but across the southern tier in the traditional snow belt areas, it's a sunny day. Can you believe it? Yeah, picture perfect conditions. Here's a wider view. So really Niagara County into northern Erie County is where the travel troubles are right now. South of Buffalo, really no issues whatsoever. Now, here's a look at the snowfall reports from this particular storm since 10 o'clock this morning. Lackawanna coming in with almost 31 inches of snow. West Seneca, 28 inches of snow. South Buffalo, 22 and a half. Hamburg picked up over 20 inches. East Aurora, about 11 inches there. And then here's a look at some of the other snowfall reports. So Angola, 9.5 inches for you. And this pretty much happened last night. Boston, Ski Country picked up maybe 5 to 6, 7 inches, not as much as they probably should be picking up. Dunkirk, 4.5, and at Cheektowaga, about 4 inches there. So here's a look at the lake effect snow warning that's in effect till 1 o'clock or 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. Right now it is frosty out there. Temperatures holding in the mid-teens, and the Lake Erie water temperature is still very, very warm, up to 39 degrees. That's probably one of the reasons why we're getting these 5-inch an hour snowfall reports, because of the lake.
Well, Mary Beth, I've been going through the comments here, and I want to bring some of them up here so that perhaps you can answer them. Paula is asking, can you talk about the winds? Are the winds still as bad as they were this morning, and what do we look at like this afternoon?
Yeah, the winds are going to be gusting to about 35, 40 miles an hour. Not as bad as the last storm, but still at times there's going to be poor visibility or reduced visibility. So really, I would, if you have to drive this area in the travel advisory area, I recommend put on your four-ways, your headlights, and just go slow and give yourself enough a stopping distance. The strong winds will continue through this evening up to about 40 miles per hour. But I do want to show you these models here because this is very interesting. These are both domestic models. Snow band is going to sink south toward the Buffalo metro area, including a South City and the South towns as well. And it's going to hang out there through 9 o'clock. So it's not going anywhere, and it may intensify. So this is a possibility. It won't actually drift into southern Erie County until probably after midnight. And then tomorrow we're going to get some general snow and lake enhanced snow too. So we're still dealing with lake effect throughout the day tomorrow, and probably slick travel no matter where you go across Western New York on Thursday, because all of us going to get maybe 2, 4, 5, 6 inches of snow, and actually heavier with lake effect snow. Here's the next model. This is model number 2, another domestic model. This is 5 o'clock, still here in the metro area, the South towns as well. It's on the move again. So again, be prepared for rapidly changing conditions. But as we go into tonight, it quickly moves into southern Erie County. So this is a faster moving model. We actually prefer this model because it takes the snow more so in ski country. But still, both models showing tomorrow, it's not a pretty day here in Western New York tomorrow. All of us, anywhere you go in Western New York, we're going to have snow. So travel is going to be tricky tomorrow for all of us, and not from north to south. So this is not a real pretty situation either. And a lake effect snow developing south of Buffalo Thursday night. So we're looking for the forecast for tonight to eventually have that lake effect snow band move south of Buffalo. But it's timing, it's when it's going to happen. And temperatures will stay steady in the teens. Tomorrow, it won't be quite as frigid. We're going back into the 20s, but we're going to have widespread snow and tricky travel for everyone here in Western New York. Again, a dicey travel no matter where you go tomorrow. So I don't know if tomorrow's a better day for the hockey game. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Quick check on the Super 7-day forecast. I know maybe Taylor Swift is coming in town, but we're going to have some sunshine on Sunday.
She'll be the sunshine.
There's always sunshine when Taylor's there.
Exactly. And then we move into the 40s. It's going to be a whole different ball game next week. with the
MB,
rain
thank
snow
you.
mix. Yeah.
We'll be looking for a whole different ball game. We want to answer a couple of these questions that you guys have right now. Christine, isn't there a travel ban in Buffalo? It's so contradictory. There is a travel ban south of Broadway. So imagine the city of Buffalo pretty much cut in half at Broadway. Kaisertown, for example, Lovejoy, south of the city, there's a travel ban there, the old First Ward. In the north of the city, there's a travel advisory, which is what MB was saying. If you have to drive out there, take care.
And in Niagara County, North Tonawanda, nothing has been issued. Let me just run down the travel advisories and bans for you one more time so that everyone's in the know and we can all kind of collectively understand where we're talking about here. Hamburg, Orchard Park, West Seneca, Lancaster, Depew, Blaisdell, Cheektowaga, Lackawanna, and south of Broadway in the city of Buffalo. The county executive saying he doesn't anticipate lifting the travel bans anytime soon. In fact, he says some may last until the overnight hours into the early morning hours. So we're going to be watching that for you throughout the day. Also want to talk to the areas where we've seen those bans in terms of vehicular traffic, commercial vehicular traffic. The 90 from Rochester to the Pennsylvania line and the 190 to exit 21. We also know that the 219, the 400, the 290, 990, 33, and Route 5 are all closed to that tractor trailer traffic.
Okay, yeah, very important to notice. We do have Michael Schwartz. We're going to go to him in a moment. I think he's getting ready to show us what the conditions are like in downtown Buffalo. But yeah, there are a couple of other things you want to keep in mind. Postal Service in the city of Buffalo actually suspended today. We don't see that happen very often. That will tell you just how bad this storm is.
Mary Beth, maybe you can answer Patricia's question here. Will Amherst get snow again today?
Yes, later this afternoon and this evening, and hopefully moving out later tonight, pushing farther into the southern tier, but could pick up another several inches of snow later today.
Here's a good one for you from Kathleen.
Everybody wants to know this, MB. Any news on schools closing tomorrow?
Haven't heard that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they are. Let's put it that way.
Another thing that I want to point out for those of you who are just watching, Wegmans has closed 4 stores today as of noon. The Dick Road and Depew store, the Transit Road and Depew store, McKinley Parkway in Blaisdell, and Orchard Park Road in West Seneca, all closed this afternoon as of noon. Unclear, though, when those 4 stores will reopen.
The city of Buffalo has some warming shelters should you need to get there. Tosh Collins, Peter McNica, JFK Rec Center. Those 3 are open for warming shelters.
Okay, I want to go to our 7 News reporter, Michael Schwartz, who's standing by for us in downtown Buffalo. I'm sorry, Jenna, say that one more time. We don't have him yet. Okay. He's still on the phone. Okay, sounds good. Michael's getting ready for his live shot, trying to develop some more information. Mary Beth, maybe you can answer this question. How much more snow in Cheektowaga, West Seneca?
As the snow band moves from the north towns back through the metro area, we're still looking for another maybe 4 to 6 to 8 inches of snow in that area. And hopefully it'll move out faster moving south as we go into the evening hours. But I think we're still going to pick up additional accumulations here in the Buffalo metro area, surrounding suburbs as we go throughout the rest of the day today.
All right, a lot of people have been asking about the Sabres game from this morning on, and we have just learned that the Sabres game is officially being postponed. So as we learn more about that, there you go. Tonight's game postponed. They're rescheduling it to tomorrow at 7 p.m., although you heard MB say tomorrow might be a little dicey too. We'll just have to wait and see. And apparently the Blackhawks are in town, so they can enjoy an evening in Buffalo.
Okay, let's go to Michael Schwartz, who's live for us in downtown Buffalo this afternoon. Michael, you're right outside of our station, right at the base of the Skyway. The Skyway is still closed this afternoon. There's been a little bit of confusion, Michael, because a lot of people were telling us that some folks were stuck on the Skyway at some point today, but the police commissioner moments ago saying they haven't heard any reports of that. What do you know?
Yeah, hey guys, first off, sorry for that echo. You know, that's what you got to do on live TV. I think my IFB froze up. But I was a little delayed to this live shot because I was just on the phone with Buffalo Police Commissioner Joseph Gramaglia, who told me that a man that we spoke to, he reached out to us, said he was in a snowbank on the Skyway right by Tiff Street, about within the mile from the station. He said he was in a snowbank since 6 a.m. and was stuck. Commissioner Gramaglia gave me the update that he is now in the back of a police car. They've been in contact with him throughout the morning. He got gas, but he did say that he did not call 911 for hours. That's according to Buffalo Police. But that man is now in a police car and being rescued right now. Let's look at conditions. The snow is fluffy. What that allows, though, for is this blowing and drifting of wind. So that's why we have these huge high drifts that we saw in the blizzard and with all lake effect snow. Mary Beth is spot on with that visibility. Ironic that I just said visibility as the winds picked up, but once this dies down, you'll be able to see that there is a little bit more blue in the sky than we saw just within the last few hours. The wind's still strong. The snow has stopped, but it's the drifting of the wind. And really, the roads are not great right now. A lot of slush and just packed with snow on them right now, and still very cold temperatures. Look, if you don't have to be out between the Sabres being now postponed, between Wegmans stores being closed, there's no reason. Wegmans stores being closed at noon. You could go to our website. There's only a few of them. There's no reason to be out here.
You know, and as Michael's standing there, you can see how the wind has picked up throughout the morning. We had people out this morning, not a lot of wind. Now it's really blowing, and that just adds to how dangerous this storm has become.
Michael, do we know anything about the condition of that man?
Yeah, so we just know the man. Our producer, Shannon, spoke to him on the phone, and when I tried calling him back just a few minutes later after they hung up, his phone actually went to voicemail, but he was reaching out to us. His grandson first reached out to us too. We know that he had plenty of gas. We know that he was in his car, but look, this is a scary situation. We know that people died in their car during the blizzard from suffocation with the fumes going back into the car. So this is a scary situation. I think people are definitely looking at 2022 at that blizzard and saying, let's learn from this. We don't have to be out, and really precaution, right? If you don't have to be going to the Sabres game because there may be travel advisories or whatnot that may be upcoming with snow and whatnot, let's really think before we hear about those bans or advisories because everything's changing by the minute here with this. But as of right now, the man, his grandson reached out to us, and he is being rescued right now. There was a high lift even involved in that, by the way. Commissioner Gramalia told me.
You know, Michael, thank you so much for your reporting. He mentioned how in the last storm, there were a number of deaths. We know about 50 people were killed in that storm in 2022 over Christmas. We're now sadly learning that there have been 3 weather-related deaths in Erie County since the weekend. On Monday, we're learning a 64-year-old man died shoveling snow, along with a 41-year-old man in Cheektowaga who was shoveling his car out. That man involved in a hit and run, and that was such an unfortunate circumstance in Cheektowaga. Then yesterday, we were learning about a 57-year-old woman who died in a snowblower accident. So certainly not any ideal condition for anyone to be working in, an unfortunate all around.
You know, when the city was having their press conference before, the police commissioner did say, just take care, try to know yourself, know your body. You know, our hearts go out, of course, to those family members.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break on Channel 7, but we're going to keep the stream going on our WKBW Facebook page. You're watching 7 News at noon. Okay, so Sayonara, glad you're with us. The request that at 3 p.m. for business owners to close for people to try to get home for all employers. Actually, they were saying it's 4 o'clock, so they're hoping that people and businesses will close at 4 so that those folks who are, trying to get home in places where there is no travel ban will be able to do just that.
Mike, I don't know if you had a question or if you were just answering someone else, but yes, all of the town of West Seneca is under a travel ban right now.
Mary, yeah, don't chance it. She's talking to the chance taker. She says, it can't happen to me, but it most certainly could, right? And we saw all those traffic cameras. And Margaret, good afternoon to you. It does not make sense to me that businesses that are not essential are opening in these bans and calling employees to come in. Why are city and county officials not calling
You
out
know
these
what?
businesses?
And Sayonara having a very similar question here. What if you live in a travel ban area, but you work in a non-travel ban area?
So under the law, whether it's New York State or Erie County law, regardless, an employer cannot force you to come into work if you are under a travel ban. So whether it's the place of employment that's under a travel ban or if it is where you are, they can't force you to come in.
Now, important to note that there are essential employees who are able to drive through a travel ban. We're talking like healthcare workers, utility workers, police, fire, EMS. Yeah, people along those lines. So keep that in mind. And let's see, we also had...
I like what Cheryl has to say.
Yeah, I was check on your elderly neighbors. Make sure they're safe. They have enough food. Absolutely. Check on all your neighbors if you can. You got their phone number?
We
Give them a
know
call.
Feedmore Western New York had to cancel their door-to-door services today. They said that they were closed. So
Nancy, again, reiterating to you that the hockey game for tonight is canceled. It's now moved to tomorrow.
North Tonawanda, Lynn says, is getting hit with a lot of snow right now. And Cheryl says they should have everywhere on a travel ban, so the plows can now get out and clear the roads. And that's what the county executive was saying that they really can't do, because it would totally limit the business and intercommerce and so much that goes on.
Jenna, what's your out time?
Okay.
All right, welcome back to 7 News at Noon. Before we go, we want to just make sure we're leaving you with the very latest information. Those travel bans still in place in the town of Orchard Park, town of Hamburg, West Seneca, Lancaster, Cheektowaga, Lackawanna, city of Buffalo, and a number of streets impacted as well.
Also need to let you know that the Sabres game has been postponed to tomorrow night at 7. Those travel bans that Katie just mentioned, we heard from Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz talking about when they could potentially open. Some of those, he says, may not be until tomorrow morning, or at least in the overnight hours. He says he doesn't anticipate lifting those bans anytime soon, so that those crews in those areas can get to work clearing the roads, making sure it's safe for emergency personnel to get through.
Something we heard a number of times this morning too, because people were asking about which essential workers could go in. It was made very clear to us from a couple of towns that they do not consider private plows to be considered essential workers. They want them to stay off the roads while the town and city plows do their work, so that there's a route for emergency personnel.
The Thruway Authority also asking you to stay off the Thruway, and we know that there is a commercial vehicle ban on the Thruway from Rochester to Pennsylvania, the 190, and there is a ban also on the 400, the 219, 33, Route 5, all of those places to keep in mind. Also seeing questions about Buffalo Public Schools. We don't have any information about school closing tomorrow, but we've been talking to Aaron all morning long, and he's been in touch with many superintendents, and he is expecting schools to close, including Buffalo.
Yeah, not just the city of Buffalo, right? Aaron was keeping an eye on this forecast for us, and that snow ban has now shifted north. Those areas are now getting hammered, and now they're trying to dig out in the south towns, but it comes back down, sits in Buffalo, and heads south too again later.
We want to thank you so much for joining us this morning for Good Morning Buffalo throughout the morning, and now for 7 News at noon. We're going to continue to keep you posted on WKBW.com. Katie and I are going to see you tomorrow morning starting at 4:30. We certainly invite you to join that conversation during 7 News at 6 once again tomorrow.
Make sure you take care. Don't be driving in those travel bans. Do everything you can to stay safe.
Have a great day, everyone.